Oh, I am recording for posterity's sake. We have philosophy. Haley, you got to mute yourself there, man. There we go. So, what is philosophy? What is this idea with philosophy? And, well, we're going to see how that people in Athens thought thinking was important. So, intellect is a fancy word for thinking about stuff, the ability to learn. So, all right, so Athens thought learning was important. Yeah, you can shorten things like that. So they thought learning was important. And philosophers are kind of cool because they use the power of their mind to understand the world around them. I know Divine got real excited. He's like, power of their mind to move things, or power of your mind to make your mommy give you extra dessert. No. Power of your mind to understand the world. That's a philosopher using the power of his mind. No problem, Ashton, I understand. Now, you don't have to write that last bullet about, what we know about today, a lot of it, some of the Greeks, but it's really true. The Greeks, because they sat around thinking so much, they figured out a lot of things that we still use today, which is really cool. For example, over on the top here, we've got our Pythagorean theorem, which is something that you're going to start doing in your math class. Your a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which might mean nothing to you, might be Greek to you as you would. Yeah. So
we learned about the square thing.
Mariah has already done it. She's an ace at mathematics. Actually, I don't know when you learned that in the school. Maybe you learned it in like first grade. Cool. Yes, Karachi, darling.
I remember going to
Yeah.
convention, and I remember one that I was running for, and she came to my house. This like it was and she came to my house and she was talking about philosophers because we were working together because we had to make like a fake invention, and she was telling me about it because she really liked to talk about philosophers, and the only philosophers I ever heard were the Greek philosophers.
Cool. So Karachi told the story about how she went to Cambridge Convention and talked about philosophers, and she knows about Greek ones. So on here, you need to know Athens thought learning was important, and philosophers try to understand the world, not using their mind to move things, which would be pretty cool. So let's get to our first philosopher, our very first one for our talk. It is Socrates. I know some people look at that like Bill and Ted, like Socrates. No, so you want to put Socrates in big letters as the header here. So we want to put Socrates in big letters as the header because he is your next topic. And with Socrates, he taught by asking questions. So the way he taught was by asking why. All right?
But the answer is why not?
And so he would constantly ask why. So for example, let's see, who's someone I can totally pick on here? Alicia says I could pick on her. Wonderful. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate it. Alicia, why did you get up this morning?
Because I have to go to school. Otherwise, I would totally
Why
stop
do you have to go to school, Alicia?
to learn.
Why do you need to learn, Alicia?
Because people tell me to.
Why do people tell you that you need to learn?
Because it's important for the economics of the planet.
Oh. So you get up in the morning to help the planet?
Yes.
Alicia's like, I wish I didn't have me volunteer to be picked on. I'm only going to do just the one example because, like, we could literally ask questions all of the time. But that's the whole idea that Socrates taught by asking why. You should totally be writing like Socrates, and he taught by asking why, Broski. So he asked questions because I told you to, and I want you to learn this because I want you to get an A, because I want you to be a successful Nicholas. That's why you write it down.
But why? Why do you want to?
Now, Socrates believed that there was something called absolute truth, that there was right and there was wrong. And the fact of the matter is, Aiden has that right and that truth in his heart. And so does Divine, so does Karachi. Mariah, not so much. But everybody really has the knowledge of absolute truth and right. And you can find the answers by asking why. You can come to your conclusions. And some people thought this was great. Wow. Carson thinking for himself is amazing. Aaron thinking, wow, who would have thought? Just kidding, dude. This idea to question everything. Socrates has a fantastic quote. A life lived unexamined was not worth living. This idea that we should be looking at what we do and why we do it. Or otherwise, why live if you're not trying to figure out why you do what you do? But not everyone thought thinking was a good thing. Some people thought thinking was dangerous. They said, if Madeline Kate starts questioning everything, what if she questions why her parents have her eat broccoli? What if she questions why she has to follow rules? What if she questions the government itself? What if she questions the gods? What if our armies question why are they risking their lives and going off into battle? So the people of Athens said this thinking, this questioning is dangerous. Yes, Madeline Kate.
If they thought thinking was dangerous, then they shouldn't have thought that.
She made a joke saying if thinking was dangerous, why do they think that? But Socrates is given a choice. He said, you can either say, everything I said was a lie, don't question things, or death. And Socrates said, I can't lie, my students. I can't tell them that divine thinking for himself and questioning is a bad thing. So he chose death. So Socrates is sentenced to death for corrupting the youth, for trying to overthrow the government, for denying the gods, which he really didn't do any of those things. He just said, I want you to think about why you do what you do. I want you to think about life.
It's like saying, it's like putting someone in jail because they were talking.
Yeah. Karachi, darling?
Also, the thing you were talking about earlier about the absolute truth, absolute right and wrong. I think there's definitely like, because I feel like it's impossible for humans to be absolutely good and absolutely bad, because that's just human nature. There would be no human.
Well, that's not what he's saying. He's not. So Karachi is saying she thinks it's possible for people to be absolutely good or absolutely bad, which I would agree with you. But the idea is that there's a right and wrong. Like for that there are like some things that are just right and some things that are just wrong, or some things that are this way.
Yeah, I agree. That's like the middle.
Yeah. So Socrates drinks hemlock. This is Socrates here, slumped over. He has died because he drank the hemlock. Here we have Plato, his scholar, right here going, and he always points to the air for some reason. There you have Aristotle just chilling out, although Aristotle probably wasn't there because Aristotle was Plato's student and Plato was Socrates, so I don't know. But an artist made it, and it's a famous painting. And once again, Socrates dead because of hemlock. Because he said, think, question. All right. Number 2. Plato, not Plato. Plato. Plato is the only reason why we remember Socrates, because Socrates did not write a single thing down. I don't know why. Maybe he never had a pencil. Yeah, miss, I didn't write Corinthian down. Unbelievable. And Plato wrote down everything Socrates had said, or so he says, because that's one of the things we know for certain. What's Plato, what's Socrates in some ways. But Plato was so heartbroken when Socrates died. Because, I mean, think about it. Plato spent every day learning at the feet of Socrates, going and studying from him. And he travels the world after Socrates dies. And he sets up a school. And the school was to train government leaders, because what Plato said, was that democracy is the worst government that has ever existed. Now, how do you feel? Do you think democracy is the worst government that's ever existed? Karachi, darling?
I don't think so. I think tyranny is the problem.
Okay, so Karachi says tyranny is probably the worst. She does not think democracy is the worst. What do you guys think? Come on, you guys like at home are like unconscious. I bet Kaylin probably is taking a nap or having a banana split or something like that. So what do you guys think though? Democracy, good, bad, yay, nay? What do you think, Rylan? So democracy, power to the people voting for their laws or their leaders. Do you think that's good or bad? Rylan says bad. Okay, why do you think, Mariah?
It's good for the people, but not good for like the leader.
Okay, so Mariah says it's good for the people, maybe not good for the leaders, although the leaders get put in power. Let's see, who's that A? That's Aaron. Aaron, what do you think? Democracy, good or bad?
I think it's good because like in democracy they're not like yelling for like voting and stuff. Like they're just voting peace.
Yeah, you have freedom in democracy. Yes, Karachi?
Also, I think Christine is definitely not the worst because not only I feel like with democracy, the people that are voting get to choose who they're putting in charge, who they're putting to make decisions. So they're going to put people they like and think are going to do good for them.
Good. So Karachi just said, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just trying to keep it going because we don't have infinite time. And I like what you said. You got the good. Karachi says that you get to vote for people you like, people that you think will do what you want them to do. And so it should be good. All right. Last thing, Austin, about democracy.
I think our democracy now is good. I don't think Athens was good because if you had an if you had a mother that was from Athens and a father that wasn't, I feel like you should still have voting rights.
Sure. So they weren't exactly fair with who their citizens are. But so Plato said democracy was bad because with its power to the people, that means dumb people are in power. Because Plato thought if you're not a philosopher, he thought you were dumb. So Plato had a little bit of work views. He thought that a king, an enlightened monarchy, was the best kind of government, that a really smart king. So let's face it, if we just went and said, oh, Lance, you are king because you're so smart, of course Lance would make all these great decisions and be perfect. But then there's the other idea, what if Lance becomes corrupt because he has all the power? And Lance goes from good Lance to evil Lance. We don't know. So I am a fan of democracy. Plato said that they killed Socrates because they were dumb. They didn't understand what it was to be awesome. So only awesome, smart philosophers should be kings, he said. All right, we have one more person to talk about. And that is Aristotle. So you should be noticing a pattern. Socrates taught Plato. Plato taught Aristotle. And Aristotle will teach Alexander the Great, who is not a philosopher, but was a king, a conqueror. But Aristotle, he wasn't as worried about governments. What he does is he classifies animals. Ever wonder where reptile, mammal, bird, all that comes from? It's from this guy, Aristotle. Wouldn't understand. I don't know what he would have classified a duck-billed platypus if he knew about those, but but he invents another idea called deductive reasoning. Now, this is something that you all do naturally today, but someone had to start it, right? So here's an example. Athenians are Greeks. I hope you know this from what we've studied thus far with Athens. It is in Greece. They are Greek. Oh, Mariah just said they are. And I think I believe her that she was really, truly confused. Because she's in the Break Mr. Kenny's Heart fan club, and she would go that low to sabotage her learning, to hurt me. Socrates is an Athenian. So Aristotle would say Athenians are Greeks. Socrates is an Athenian. Therefore, Socrates is Greek. Duh.
Yeah.
That last part is really important for you to get full understanding. So, another example is Mr. Kenny teaches at Frederick Classical Charter School. Madeline Kate is in Mr. Kenny's class. Therefore, Madeline Kate is a student at Frederick Classical Charter School.
Duh.
you know, Gus lives in Maryland. Maryland is in the United States. Therefore, Gus lives in the United States. Duh.
Well, oh wow! Thanks for the new fact. I just learned that. It wasn't obvious at all.
Well, here's the thing, Austin. Yes, now it is obvious because we do this sort of deductive reasoning all the time. But somebody's got to start it. All right, so here's what we're going to be doing today, my cherubs. So that was our notes. You have an assignment. It is chapter 8, lesson 2, the Greek mind, part 1. Now, as always, we're going through Schoology with this. If you want to do it on a sheet of paper at home or print it, that is absolutely fine. If you're in person, I'm going to give you a physical copy if you'd like it, and you could either do it physically or online. If you do it physically, I would like you to take a picture of it, and when you submit it, just so that I have it digital for that sort of thing. Or if you can't do that, you can hand it to me. Now, for my in-person people, on the back, I have part 2. The expectation is we're doing part 1 today. But I have part 2, so if you want to do part 2 physically again, you can. It's just we're doing part 1 right now. For my people online, you do not have to stay logged in. You can log out. I am around to help if you need help. So it is in the Tuesday folder right there, Chapter 8, Lesson 2, the Greek mind, part 1.
Mr. Kenny, you're
Hi,
still
Mr.
recording. Hi, Mr. Kenny. Have an amazing day.
Yeah, I should stop recording, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry about that. I blame, yes, Madeline Kate, because she said it was.
No, I think Mariah hacked your system because she's